Do you know that feeling where you just need to get outside? Today, I'm taking inspiration from Danish kindergartners who spend all day outside in their forest schools, and I'm just taking you for a walk around my neighborhood as we chat about the Danish way of parenting. Welcome to Worldly Families. I'm Justine Janae. Traveling to over 40 countries and living abroad has opened my eyes to new ways of being and doing. I'm all about helping you expand your horizons so that you can live and parent more intentionally and more joyfully. In this video, we'll be talking about The Danish Way of Parenting, one of my favorite parenting books by Jessica Joelle Alexander, and I've been dissing Sandal. Not sure on the pronunciation of that one, so sorry about that. You might have heard that the Danes are some of the happiest people in the world, and that's been consistent over the past 40 years since we even started tracking happiness data around the world. Why is that? Well, it comes down to parenting, because happy children grow up to be happy parents who raise happy children. It's a virtuous cycle. The great news is you don't have to live in Denmark in order to adopt some of their values and parenting techniques. In this video, I'll break down a few of the tips and tricks that Danes use to raise their happy children. Tip 1. A child's job is to play. Danish children don't start formal academics until about the age of 6. Up until then, their primary job is to play. And parents know that kids are learning empathy, negotiation skills, resilience, and all kinds of amazing life skills. Airplane. This is the fun part of filming outside. Also, I bet my background is going to change a bunch as I chop this video up. In Denmark, there's not this huge emphasis that we have in the States on milestones and making sure that your kid is at a developmentally appropriate stage and judging your kid against the average of all other children. Just let your kid be a unique individual, and if they're taking their sweet time to start talking or walking or whatever it may be, let them take their sweet time. They're sweet babies. Tip 2, minimalism. Danes prefer a simple, more minimalist lifestyle. They have way less stuff than us, and that helps psychologically for them to be happier, healthier, and have a greater sense of well-being and contentment in life. So, have the garage sale. Tip 3, cultivate hygge. This is what the Danes are probably most famous for. Hygge is often translated as coziness, but it means much more than just candles and fireplaces and cozy blankets. It's a psychological space that you enter where you're leaving all of your complaints and your frustrations and your stresses at work and all of that at the door when you enter into a hygge space. You're just being present with your friends and family, focusing on how delicious the food is or talking about wonderful memories that you've shared together. And that comes so naturally to Danes because they practice it so much that they don't even think necessarily about the psychological space. They're thinking about the physical space that they're cultivating. But the reason that it works, the reason that it causes happiness or leads to happiness is because you're actually practicing presence and togetherness. Tip 4, focus on well-being. The Danes are focused much more on children's well-being than their academics. And in fact, the only national test that all Danish students take at every single age is a test about their well-being. So they want to know, how good do the kids feel? Are they feeling bullied? Do they have self-esteem? Because the studies all show that when kids feel good, they perform better academically. In fact, Denmark is number 5 in the world for geniuses per capita. Tip 5, focus on empathy. The Danes put a huge emphasis on collaborative work, and in fact, 60% of the children's work in school is group work because kids learn empathy and how to work together. And those are the skills that we really need in life, right? Also, just note this giant colorful rooster right here. That's hashtag keep Austin weird right there. Empathy is what connects us to others, and that's what leads us to be happy, content people, or it's a major part of it. But in the US, empathy has dropped up to 50% in the last 30 to 40 years. And it might be because we don't see it as something that can or should be taught. But in fact, we're born with the capacity for empathy, but it is a skill that needs to be taught. And when we teach empathy, then all of these other things fall into place. Self-esteem rises, leadership skills, all of these great, amazing skills that end up leading to academic performance. Really quick, if you're getting value out of these videos, please like and comment below, letting me know what you like, what you want to see more of, because it really helps me as this channel is young and I'm trying to find my voice and figure out what's resonating with people and what I love to talk about. Any comments help a lot. Tip 6, unhappy endings. This one may seem counterintuitive, but part of the reason why Danes are so happy is because a lot of the stories told in their culture through books and movies and even fairy tales for children, if you're familiar with the original Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales, do not have happy endings. It's actually the contrast between the ending that you see in these movies where things don't turn out so well and your life that makes you feel grateful for what you do have. Whereas in America, we're bombarded by these happy ending fairy tales where everything seems so wonderful, and then we look at our lives and we're suddenly discontent. In fact, when I lived in France, I loved going to the movie theaters, and I realized that my French friends would describe American endings to movies with a French word that's actually from English, happy-end, happy end. Another reason this is important for kids to be exposed, for example, to these fairy tales without the happy endings, is because it provides a space and a reason for the kids to discuss these hard, difficult emotions with their parents. What would you feel if that happened to you? That kind of thing. What else do you think that they're thinking or feeling? And that allows for the development of empathy. The Danish people are one of the most empathetic people in the world, and they're also the happiest. Correlation? Causation? I don't know, maybe both. Tip 7, toddlers are cute. Danish people have a much different relationship to toddlers. In American culture, we tend to call it the terrible twos, or I have a little three-nager. I've even been guilty of saying that one. But in Denmark, they see this phase as the boundary-pushing age, or the independence phase. And so the behaviors are actually expected and even seen as cute. You react much differently when you see something as positive than when you see something as a negative annoyance that you have to deal with for a number of years. Tip 8, reframe. Danish parents are amazing at reframing things to help their children see something in a more positive light. For example, one of the co-authors of this book, The Danish Way of Parenting, said her daughter was afraid of spiders, and her husband, who's Danish, was reframing it for her to be more about curiosity and openness. And now her daughter loves bugs. Tip 9, don't label kids. The words that we use are extremely important. And even if we don't think our kids are listening, when we're talking to another adult, for example, they often are very perceptive and they pick up on the things that you're saying. So be careful about the words that you use. If you're labeling your kid as sneaky or dramatic or something like that, they're going to try to make sense of that and might internalize it for the rest of their lives as the way that they are or the way that they're expected to be. So try and find the positive attribute to what your kid is doing. Maybe sneakiness is they're very curious, they're very inquisitive, or they're very resourceful, or they're great at climbing up the shelves of your closet. So try and find the positive reframe so that when your kids do overhear you talking, they have a positive sense of self. And while we're on the topic, parents, there might be some labels that you've internalized and applied to your own life from your childhood. So maybe take a few minutes and look back on that and think about the ways that you were labeled and how you've restricted yourself to conform to that label. And then just free yourself of that and go, who would I be if I didn't identify with that label? I hope these tips from the Danish Way of Parenting help you rethink some of the ways that you're parenting your kids, and I highly recommend reading the full book for even more inspiration. It does kind of make you want to move to Denmark. Thank you for joining me on this walk around my neighborhood, and I will see you in the next video.